Freedom of Movement. The Day the Warships Sailed into the Lion's Den. Part 1. The Armada. The United States Central Command has done something no one expected. It has prepared a full-force deployment, not a drill, not a warning, but a full-scale military operation to support President Donald Trump's Freedom of Movement plan. The numbers are staggering: 15,000 American troops, ready to move at a moment's notice. More than 100 warships, destroyers, cruisers, aircraft carriers, and support vessels, fighter jets and helicopters, poised to provide air cover and strike capability. The deployment is particularly strong in the Middle East, especially in the Gulf. The State Department did not immediately respond to requests for comment on how Trump's plan is progressing, but officials confirmed one thing: the plan is being implemented right now, as of Monday. The message from Washington is unmistakable. The United States is not asking permission. It is not negotiating. It is moving. Part 2. Breaking Through the Wall. On Monday, something happened that the world has been dreading for months. Two U.S. guided missile destroyers entered the Gulf of Oman, and they did not ask for permission. They broke through Iranian naval defenses. At the same time, two U.S. merchant ships, civilian vessels carrying commerce, not weapons, passed through the Strait of Hormuz safely. The waterway, which Iran has effectively controlled for months, was breached. The announcement from U.S. officials came just one day after Iran declared something very different. Part 3. The Iranian version. On May 4th, Iran announced that it had successfully blocked a U.S. warship from entering the Strait of Hormuz. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps claimed it had fired a barrage of missiles at the destroyer, forcing it to turn back. Some news outlets reported that two missiles were specifically launched at the U.S. vessel until it decided to retreat. The Strait of Hormuz, Iran reminded the world, is under siege by the Iranian Navy. It has been under attack, and Iran will not allow any enemy to pass freely. News media flooded with conflicting reports. Did the U.S. destroyer enter the strait or turn back? Did the merchant ships pass safely, or were they repelled? No one could agree on the facts. But everyone agreed on one thing: the risk of a direct clash between U.S. and Iranian forces has never been higher. Part 4. A waterway under siege. The Strait of Hormuz is not just any waterway. It is the global gateway for trade and investment to the Asia-Pacific region. Through this narrow passage flows the economic lifeblood of nations. And it has been under siege since February 28th, the day the United States and Israel launched their joint military operation against Iran. For more than 2 months, the strait has been a battlefield. Now, the battle is entering a new phase. The U.S. Military Command confirmed that a U.S.-flagged merchant ship passed through the Strait of Hormuz with the intervention of U.S. warships in the Gulf and the open sea. The ship, the U.S. said, was in Iranian uncharted waters north of the strait. According to American officials, there were no Iranian ships in that area. The Iranian news agency and the IRGC said something else entirely. They said that any ship attempting to sail near the strait would be repelled. They insisted that no U.S. merchant ship had successfully passed. Part 5. The Denials and the Warnings. The U.S. Military Command has denied that two missiles were fired at an American destroyer. They also stated that no U.S. destroyer entered the Strait of Hormuz on May 4th. The USS David, one of the Navy's most advanced guided missile destroyers, remains in the Gulf of Oman, not in the strait itself. Not yet. But observers are warning that this technical distinction may not matter much longer. The war at sea is starting to flare up. Iran has launched a series of attacks on U.S. warships, or at least it has claimed to. And with each claim, with each denial, with each warship that approaches the strait, war seems increasingly inevitable. Part 6. Trump's Verdict. On May 4th, President Donald Trump took to Twitter to deliver his assessment of Iran's military capabilities. His verdict was as blunt as it was controversial. In terms of Iran's naval capabilities, its air force capabilities, and its air defense systems, they are almost zero, Trump wrote. At this time, there is no other option. The president has often said that the United States does not want to continue the war with Iran. He has spoken of peace, he has spoken of negotiation, but his actions tell a different story. The deployment of 15,000 troops, the sinking of Iranian boats, the freedom of movement plan. Trump has warned Iran again and again. Now he is backing those warnings with warships. Part 7. The IRGC prepares for war. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is not intimidated. On Monday, May 4th, Iranian officials quoted a U.S. source, an unusual move, but perhaps intended to show that even Americans know what is coming. According to the IRGC, U.S. forces in the Middle East have been ordered to launch attacks based on the threat posed by Iran. The IRGC's counter warning was unambiguous. If Iran launches a threatening or targeted attack on any warship or transport ship that the U.S. is protecting, the United States will immediately launch an attack on Iran. The Iranians are under no illusion about what that would mean. U.S. officials also acknowledge that Iran is still capable of waging a naval war with the United States. The catch? Iran's navy is limited to high-speed boats equipped with machine guns and anti-ship missiles. Against a U.S. destroyer, these boats are outgunned. But in large numbers, and with the element of surprise, they could still inflict damage. Part 8. No ship passes without Iran's permission, according to the Iranian news agency Tatneft. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is currently fully prepared. They have deployed their forces to defend the strait against any U.S. aggression. The source added that Iran is ready to prevent any U.S. warship or commercial vessel from passing through the Strait of Hormuz without prior Iranian consent. Iran announced that on May 4th, no ship had passed through the strait safely. They specifically denied that 2 U.S. merchant ships had transited the waterway. The claim and counterclaim created a fog of conflicting information that made diplomacy nearly impossible. Then came a new development. A report emerged that a UAE ship was preparing to attack a vessel sailing near the Gulf of Oman. Gulf states claimed the attack was carried out by Iranian Revolutionary Guards using high-speed boats. The attack on the Arab ship had been launched. Part 9. The Gulf states unite. The Gulf countries did not remain silent. A joint statement condemned Iran's aggression against the Saudi-led coalition ship that had attempted to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. The statement declared that Iran has no right to control the strait and must open it to international navigation. The Gulf Cooperation Council, comprising the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Oman, issued the condemnation. All 6 nations are already on high alert for a possible attack by Iran in retaliation for U.S. and Israeli military actions. The joint statement went further. The Gulf states declared that from now on, they must unite to create a security force for the Gulf region and to promote stability. The message was clear. They cannot rely solely on the United States to protect their waters. U.S. allied countries in the region have now been warned that they could be targeted by drone or missile attacks by the Islamic Republic of Iran. The threat is not hypothetical. The drone strikes on the UAE that set oil facilities ablaze proved that. Part 10. Israel joins the fight. In this extremely fragile situation, after Iran launched ballistic missiles at a U.S. warship, a new development emerged from Israel. Reports indicate that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has given the green light for Israeli warships to deploy to the Strait of Hormuz to join the U.S. warship group. The approval marks a significant escalation. Israel's decision to send its own naval forces into the contested waterway is being interpreted as communication and coordination with the United States. It suggests that Israel is pushing for a second wave of war, another coordinated U.S.-Israeli campaign against Iran. The message from Jerusalem is unmistakable. Israel will not stand by while Iran threatens the world's most important shipping lane. Part 11. Iran's promise of blood. Iran's response to these developments is predictable but no less chilling. The Islamic Republic has stated that it will definitely not surrender to the United States and Israel. It will launch a counteroffensive quickly. And it will kill U.S. and Israeli troops if they dare to invade or occupy Iranian territory. The rhetoric is familiar. The threats are not new. But in the current environment, with 100 U.S. warships in the region, with Israeli destroyers preparing to deploy, with Iranian high-speed boats patrolling the strait, the words carry more weight than usual. Iran is outgunned. It is outnumbered. Its navy consists of speedboats. Its air force flies aging jets. Its air defense systems are decades old. But Iran has something that no American warship can defeat: the willingness to die. The IRGC has proven time and again that its fighters will not surrender. They will fight, they will die, and they will take as many enemies with them as they can. Part 12. The Fog of War. What makes this situation so dangerous is the complete absence of shared reality between the two sides. The United States says 2 merchant ships passed safely through the strait. Iran says no ships passed. The United States says no missiles were fired at its destroyer. Iran says 2 missiles were fired and the destroyer turned back. The United States says it has sunk Iranian boats. Iran denies any such engagement. When two sides cannot agree on basic facts, diplomacy becomes nearly impossible. How can you negotiate a ceasefire when you cannot agree on what happened during the last engagement? How can you de-escalate when each side believes the other is lying? Part 13. The Risk of Miscalculation. Observers are increasingly concerned about the risk of miscalculation. In the fog of war, with conflicting reports flooding news media, with both sides armed and ready, a single mistake could trigger a full-scale conflict. If a U.S. destroyer misidentifies an Iranian patrol boat as a hostile vessel and fires, if an Iranian missile battery misidentifies a merchant ship as a warship and launches, if communication fails at the critical moment, the war at sea is starting to flare up. Iran has launched a series of attacks on U.S. warships, according to its own claims. The U.S. has sunk Iranian boats, according to its own claims. The truth is less important than what each side believes to be true, and what each side believes is that the other side started it. Part 14. The World Watches. Leaders across the globe are watching. Europe, the Asia-Pacific, Africa, Latin America. All are looking at the same question: will this escalate into a war that no one can control? The ceasefire that went into effect on April 8th is now in its 4th week, but no one believes it will survive much longer. The drone strikes on the UAE, the missile interceptions, the conflicting reports of sunken boats and destroyed warships, all of it points in one direction. The question is not whether there will be another clash. The question is when it will happen, and how many ships and lives will be lost before the fighting stops again. Part 15. The Unanswered Question. As of today, the USS David remains in the Gulf of Oman. The Israeli warships are preparing to sail. The Iranian high-speed boats patrol the strait, and 15,000 American troops wait for orders. President Trump has said the United States does not want to continue the war with Iran, but his actions, the deployment, the sinking of Iranian boats, the freedom of movement plan, suggest otherwise. The Strait of Hormuz is the throat of the global economy, and someone is about to try to close it for good. The world holds its breath. The warships sail into the lion's den. And the only certainty is that the next few days will determine whether the Middle East descends into a war that no one can stop.